Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. I have comedian Chonda Pierce with me once again. It's always great to have her. Welcome.
You know, it is good.
You're the first guest of the new year.
I know, and I can't believe it. A new set, new guest, same old me.
Same old you.
Yeah, sorry. A few extra pounds, maybe.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. That's my New Year's resolution, is to look different, so I ate more.
So you ate more? Is that most people go the other way? But
I know. Well, I like to mix it up a little. But isn't it funny how we do always set out going to really do something different? And I don't know how long anybody else's I quit making them because then you beat yourself up when you can't make it, you know.
Yeah.
I do think, okay, I want to do this better and do this better. But I don't say I'm just going to completely stop eating chocolate. You know what I mean? That's just a goal that's you're never going to make. So why make it?
Good point.
Exactly. Making it into heaven. That's my number one goal. That's it.
Yeah? Or you think you're good there?
I think I'm good there.
Okay, that's good enough. Because you do the comedy,
Yeah.
and yet you're a Christian.
I am.
How does that work? Because, you know, a lot of comedy is vulgar, a lot of comedy is offensive,
Yes.
and pretty much all good comedy tends to be kind of edgy.
You know, it is. And I will say, you can be a born-again Christian and have a little bit of edgy comedy. You can have a little bit of sarcasm.
Like what?
You can have, well, you know, I have a whole routine of poking at every denomination out there.
Right.
You know, like I'll take a poll in the show, how many Baptists? And you go, oh, you're so secure. And, you know, you go through the whole list of little quirks about the denominations that are pretty much, you know, everybody knows.
So you offend everyone at the same time.
So you offend everybody, then you're even. So and at the same time, I'm sure I am offensive once in a while to people. I don't set out to be.
Right.
But the tough part of your job as a comedian is comedy is so subjective. What one person thinks is hilarious, another is going to deem sacrilegious or smart aleck, or you know, and so what you have to do is know that your heart is right and in good standing with the Lord Jesus. And then you go do your job to the very best of your ability. And whether that's on the stage in a church or in a theater or in a comedy club, which I happen to do all of the above. And you know, people always go, now, do you do a different thing at the Grand Ole Opry than you would at such and such? And I go, oh, no. I mean, you're the same comic in every venue. It's just that in some venues, you can go a little more in depth with a particular topic. If I'm in a comedy club, I'll talk about Spanx, you know, and goof off. If I'm in a church setting, I talk about Spanx, and then I try to explain it. And, you know,
Right.
especially if there happen to be a guy or two in the crowd, which I don't have to worry about that too much because the majority of my audience is women, and I like it that way.
Yeah.
But you do you craft, you know, the amount of material that you use, but the person of who I am and my standards in my faith, it doesn't change. It doesn't vary from venue to venue.
Yeah.
The problem I have sometimes is with comics will want to they'll clean it up for a church audience, and then they'll be filthy in the comedy club.
Yeah.
And I go, one, that's just got to be hard to juggle. And two, I don't think the Lord's quite pleased with that. He wants you to, you know, he wants you to set the standard and keep it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I applaud anybody who takes the nerve to go and make a crowd laugh, because it's hard. It's not as easy. The easier I make my job look, I've done a good job.
The better you are, absolutely.
Right, and so, you know, I have people come up to you all the time going, oh, people tell me I'm funny. I think I could do what you do. And you want to go, oh, okay. I'm going to call you up there for 15 minutes. Let's see how long you can last.
Yeah,
you know,
take your best
it's
shot.
hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I think Jesus was funny. I think he had some really funny things that he said, you know, that he referenced in the Word of God, that we have evidence that he was funny.
Like what?
When you say it was harder to get a camel through the eye of a needle, that was sarcasm back then. You know, it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to make it to heaven.
Right.
That is so pure sarcasm for that day, you know, and to talk in those terms. And so I love that. You know, I think he had a great sense of humor, especially when he talks about the laughter of children, and he just the thought of creation. He created every sense that we have, our smell and our laughter and every emotion, and says that it's okay to use them.
I like personally when he went to the fishermen who'd been fishing all day
Yes.
and hadn't caught anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Have you tried throwing it over there?" Because you know any fisherman, right? You want to rub them wrong.
Just gotta drive a fisherman crazy.
Oh yeah,
going,
like
what do you mean?
fish
Have we
all
thrown it?
stinking day?
Yeah.
What, who are you on the banks? I mean,
I
really?
know.
He's like, throw your
Try
nets
throwing it
over
over
there.
there. It's
Yeah,
like,
and then they catch the fish. And
I
I'm like,
know.
okay, something's going on because that's not right. You know, it's not normal.
That's exactly right. And so I love that there's such evidence that Christ had a great sense of humor. And so
You know,
that
he
also
liked-
allows me to get to have one.
He liked food too.
He
So
liked
you're in
food.
yeah. What did he do? He fed thousands of people with a little bit.
So he didn't want to have a dinner party without food.
He really, truly.
Yeah.
It's funny if you look at it, how much of his activity
Yeah.
centered around food, making food, catching food, all that kind of thing. You're like,
That's exactly right.
Okay, I
God
can
looked
relate
at
to that.
And that's why church has potluck to this very day.
there's got to be a spiritual reason behind it.
That's exactly right.
What do you tell someone who's maybe trying to balance the comedy? Because how many youth groups have tried to do something and the church has said, "Hey, you can't do that." I know you guys think it's
hard.
funny, and I know that kids really sometimes have terrible judgment as to what's appropriate.
Yeah. Their brain hasn't quite yet matured.
Right.
I will say, we have a conference that we have every year at the Christian Comedy Association, and there is one.
Wow.
It started about 5 or 6 years ago, about 40 comics. We all got together and chatted about, what's going on out there and how we can do better at our craft, how we can uplift one another and just encourage one another. And from that has grown to about 350, 400 people
Really?
who confess Christ, who are active stand-up comedians or want to be stand-up comedians
Right.
or part-time stand-up comedians. And so incredible time that we get together once a year and have. And we also have classes and workshops and how to write
Really?
comedy and all of that. And coupled with that is really trying to teach them to bridge that gap between your faith, how to explain your faith, and how to project your faith in the midst of your comedy routine.
Wow.
And it's a very interesting journey, but it can be done. I think comedy has the potential to be extremely a vital, extreme part of evangelism. Because if you can get a crowd of people laughing with you, opening up their hearts to goof off, and when they're at that moment of relaxation and vulnerability, you have the ability and you have the great formula to leave truth with them that is more well received. It's the same idea as, medicine goes down with when you got to take medicine you didn't like, your mama would put maple syrup in it. It's adding a little sugar to something you got to, take. It's the same thing with comedy. It's a wonderful tool. Every pastor knows this. Most of them start their sermons with a funny little illustration about their family or about their week, and it gets the audience, the congregation chuckle a little bit, and then he moves into the sermon, and so people, that are much more smarter than I am, they see the vital and the importance of what comedy can do, and so I love my job. I'm celebrating my 20th year as a stand-up comedian.
Well, how'd you start when you were 12?
I did. I most certainly did when I was 3. But, even Lifeway Christian Bookstores just put out a compilation of 20 years of my work. And all in a little folded binder and all these videos all in one thing. And when I looked at it and I saw what they had done, I was like, thank you, but am I dying? Because like, I'm not retiring or anything. Yeah, that's what it made you feel like, a tribute. I'm like, wait, I'm still alive. But all that to say, I love that I've had all these years to enjoy, to grow in my craft, and at the same time, what's grown is the message behind it, and the meaning behind the madness, and that is why I love what I do. I think that's why when comedy can be the greatest introduction to leaving a truth with someone.
Very cool. I will also let you know that we put these interviews and other clips online.
Yeah.
And your comedy bit, I cut and put out there online, Spanx in Iraq, that whole story.
Are you kidding me?
It's one of our most viewed videos. Like you have way more views than my dad. Way more.
That is so funny.
It is. It's out there right now.
I'm sorry, Brother James.
But it's good, and because people
You
enjoy
tell a story
laughing.
about Spanx, people are going to listen.
Oh, I hope he doesn't have any stories about Spanx.
He doesn't because your mom is so little, she doesn't have to wear Spanx. That's
I
right.
was meant for him.
They do have men's Spanx now.
Oh.
In case we might need to mention that to Brother
Yeah,
James.
let's not go into that. Instead, do you know this comedy workshop bit?
Yeah.
Do you know the website for that offhand?
ChristianComedyAssociation.com.
Okay, we'll put that on the screen. 'cause
Christian
yeah.
Comedy Association.
You might
Or
get
just go to
some-
Chonda.org
Okay.
and I'll help direct that.
Okay.
little
And
flow.
you've got, is your 20-year bit on that on your website as well?
No, it's Lifeway Christian
Strictly
Bookstore.
Lifeway, so I have to go Lifeway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have
there-
a few in my garage, but they're for presents.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, if you're thinking about stand-up comedy, and it is, you do go into it with fear and trepidation in the church world.
Okay.
I will say, even the church today has really grown in embracing the arts again.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go, come on, especially young people, get in there and get involved and love it, and then let's help you hone your craft and send you back out into a world that really needs to laugh.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do check all that out. Check out Chonda when she's on Live Today. You can watch her at livetoday.org, and of course there's clips on YouTube that we put out there. And check out her website, chonda.org. Thank you so much for sitting down.
Thank you, Randy. Good to see you.